are the New York Knicks. I'm back, rocking in New York. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks is taking no shorts, just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, it's the New York Knicks podcast. We are still around. It is episode 498. How you doing, Mark?
I want to complain to you, Jay. I am very upset.
We are part of the Lineups Podcast
I am
Network.
upset. You're going to do the show stuff? I am
Yeah.
upset, Jay.
We'll get to that. Lineup stuff.
Why do we have to? Fine, get to it. But I am just. My anger just. Go. I'm just angry, Jay.
Hold your breath for 30 seconds, please.
That's
Lineups.com.
actually a cure for coronavirus, according to Trump.
Lineups.com, the Lineups Podcast Network. BigHeadsMedia.com, the Big Heads Media Network. Dash Radio, NY Knicks, the New York Knicks Podcast.com/Ticket Club. For $20 off an annual membership, use NYKP.
Can you? What can you get tickets to?
Future events.
Okay. Well, how far into the future, Jay?
Very future. Okay, what are you mad about?
Okay, here's why I'm livid about.
Mhm.
Okay, I understand you may not think he's the best player in the world. I understand there's difference like he's not amazing on offense. His offense is developing. His defense is really good. I am upset with Mike Miller for how little he's playing Ntilikina lately.
So you are every person on Twitter.
What's that? What's going on with Ntilikina's playing time? I want to see him getting 35 minutes a game. What's going on? It's like the Knicks aren't even playing lately. By the way, how is Knicks Twitter lit up with so many fans arguing about so much Knicks stuff through the entire pandemic? I don't understand.
I don't know. It took us a month to come up with enough material for one episode, and I go on, and it's just nonstop.
I mean, realistically, the season ended, giant pandemic, a lot of things going on. And not saying you shouldn't do people shouldn't do a Knicks podcast or talk about Knicks during the time. It's great to be distracted by things. It was just, I think for both of us, we were getting a little bit sick of talking about the Knicks before the pandemic ever hit. And it just seemed like a good, and both of us were kind of just worried about it. Just a good time to just take a little bit of a break from everything, especially because nothing was really going to change.
Mm-hmm.
But we're back to do a pandemic episode, because why the hell not? We are not going to do regular episodes till there's a regular season or postseason or just anything going on.
Yeah, at least something, a draft, free agency, stuff like that. We'll do episodes for those. We'll try and check in at least once a month at most once a month, probably.
We'll sprinkle in some episodes while the U.S. sprinkles in reopenings.
We have been doing our other podcast called The Brink of Sanity. You can check that out, brinkofsanityshow.com, or just type in Brink of Sanity on iTunes.
We talk everything but the Knicks. Some politics, some random stuff. It's a lot of just random stuff. Some pandemic-related stuff. We've been doing it weekly, every week. Go listen. It's fun. But right now we will talk some Knicks. So, Jay, your prayers were answered.
Were they?
Yes.
Okay.
I know you sat up every night and prayed that James Dolan would recover from the coronavirus, and he did.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And now he said he's donating his blood because they're asking people who have recovered from coronavirus to donate their blood, and he's doing his service by donating his blood, and he is still your hero, Jay.
We have said maybe a few not nice things about Dolan. He is paying all the MSG staff during this whole thing, which is very nice.
Is he still doing that? That's actually fantastic.
I don't know if he's still doing it. He did it for the whole month of March. So even if he stopped now, that was a very nice gesture. So there you go. We don't always crap on Dolan.
And if anyone actually wished the coronavirus on him or wished things would turn out poorly, that's as big an asshole as you can be. It's awesome that he's healthy, and I hope having the coronavirus gave him some perspective that he should pursue his music career and sell the Knicks.
Yeah.
So how are you doing, Jay?
I'm doing all right. Getting by. It's been a little tough. I mean, it's tough on everybody. My girlfriend's a nurse, so that's not the easiest thing to deal with. I mean, the stuff she sees is traumatizing beyond belief.
You're gonna go more negative than the actual Knicks right now.
I'm not going negative. I'm just
No. I just go on, Jay. Tell our fans.
just explaining that it's been a little tough. We haven't checked in with these guys in a month, so just giving a status update. Not everybody listens to the Brink of Sanity. In
Jay's
fact,
girlfriend
most of you
is
don't.
twice the man of both Jay and I.
Yeah, I would not be able to do 1 hour of her shift. So
Yeah, no, it's insane that she's on the quote unquote front lines, and
she comes home and I'm like, oh, my boss is so mean today, and she's like, yeah, I carry dead bodies around, so I'm like, okay, you win. I will not complain about my job anymore.
My boss screamed at me. Someone screamed for life from me.
Yeah.
Okay. It was their last words. What were the words? What would they tell you?
Yeah. They told me I didn't process an invoice correctly, but yeah, I don't think you need to hear that right now, do you?
No. Yeah, it's similar. The person told me to tell their wife they always loved them because the wife couldn't see them while they were dying. Okay, but anyway, tell me more about your date, Jay.
All right, so back to basketball.
Back to the basketball.
So this whole thing started. Everyone knows Gobert touched a bunch of mics, and apparently
he actually caused the coronavirus. He is patient zero.
Apparently, Lillard is irrevocably
Can I also
angry.
add that I've barely been following basketball during this whole time? I've taken all my Knicks, everything I do, like all my Knicks, Mets, all my sports energy, and just focus on the coronavirus and it's horrible to focus so much on this that I have no ability to actually affect the coronavirus. So it's horrible that I'm focusing all of my energy on it. But I'm happy to talk basketball. I feel like Jay's going to fill me in on all that's happened.
Yeah, so basically Lillard is like, I can't be on the same team as Gobert anymore.
He's not.
Why?
Because you're thinking Damian Lillard and you're thinking of Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell. Sorry.
I was like a lot has. I know I have not been following things, but a lot has. It's not that much that has changed.
I should stop drinking during the show. So yeah, Donovan Mitchell, Gobert, not going to be able to reconcile things. So you know what that means, right?
Right. Well, you know what the thing is. So they said they couldn't. It might be irreconcilable. Who knows what it really is? The Jazz probably will work. There's a good chance they'll be able to work this out, and the guys will play on the same team. But the Knicks fans here, someone's unhappy. They choose the better of the two players and assume they can trade Kevin Knox straight up for him.
Yeah, that means it is lopsided trade time on Twitter.
There are 28 other teams that could trade with them. Nope. Knicks have the best offer because we can offer garbage.
No, the Knicks can offer Knox and Dallas's pick, which is going to be like top 27. And
don't throw in both Dallas picks. We don't want to like get hosed on this.
No, that's too much. That's too much. We could throw in Dennis Smith Jr. though. We'll call it even.
Do you think we could give some expiring contracts and pretend those guys are assets?
Maybe Utah could throw in a second rounder to even it out a little bit.
What if we do Julius Randle? You know the guy we hate more than anything, even though he's one of the best players on the team, and we assume we could trade him at any time for lots. I mean, I don't love Julius Randle, but the two things, like he's one of the better players on the team, and the fact that everyone assumes they could trade him so easily is baffling to me.
Well, I think you could trade him pretty easily, but not for
really.
Like
why? The Knicks are one of the worst teams in the league, and they're like, we don't want Julius Randle. Are there a lot of people like lining up to get the guy that the Knicks don't even want, who's on a contract that's not even that great?
It's not bad. It's one more year.
It's 2 more years. Well, if the Knicks have the right to bring him on for the 3rd year, so it's 1 more year. You're right, but like, I just feel like if you're a really bad team, you can't assume everyone's going to want your players that you don't even want.
Well, I'm just saying you can make a trade for Randle pretty easily. It's just not for the face of a franchise.
How much is Randle paid? Like, what's his contract?
It's like 20 something, 24, 20.
Is it? No. Is it?
I don't know. It's been so long since I looked at these numbers. It's a lot. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, you have to be able to match the contract, match the not money.
I'm just saying it's
he gets about 20. It was a $63 million deal, so it's about $20 million a year.
Yeah. So it's not like
You have to match the money. You have to find a team that has that much salary cap who wants to take that player. I think everyone says like these guys are easy to trade. I think it's easy to trade if you're trading like a star player. I don't think a guy like this is easy to trade.
I don't know.
I think
There's
the
been
money makes it
so
hard.
many contracts over the years where I'm like, that is an untradeable contract, and
But
then
then the Knicks
6
always
months later
take the
it's traded.
contract, so it's different.
The Knicks have taken about half of those contracts, yes, but there's still Allen Crabs out there.
Yeah, I just think these guys are a lot harder to take unless you're adding an asset. Like the Knicks will end up adding assets to get rid of Randall if they want to get rid of him.
My point is, they're not getting Donovan Mitchell
They're not getting
or
Donovan
Gobert.
Mitchell. Or Gobert. There's
They-
no reason. There's no reason to think Jazz are really going to trade one of those guys.
I know. I think they will. I think they will.
Really think they will? Okay.
If Donovan Mitchell says, I cannot be on the same team as Gobert, Gobert's gone because Gobert is 30 and Mitchell's 24, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, you keep Mitchell, you get rid of Gobert. Totally makes sense. But you really don't think you can heal this? All we know is Mitchell made this statement, and maybe he feels this way. You have a long time to convince him otherwise.
You don't have that long.
Really? Because the season's not starting for 8 years from now. That's how long this whole thing's lasting.
You got to figure it out before
the playoffs.
Before
you're not trading it. You're not. Let's say the playoffs happen this year. You're not trading him before the playoffs. So it's the off season, and you probably like people get perspective on things. I don't think it's not like Gobert slept with his wife. He just basically didn't take it seriously. He got the NBA shut down, but someone else would have got the NBA shut down. Mitchell probably, after he feels all better from the coronavirus for a while, he might have a different view on things.
I think you got to resolve it by July 1st.
Okay, I mean, fair point, but that's still a while from now. And let's just say they cannot resolve it. To think the Knicks have the best offer, I don't know if they have the best offer.
No, they don't have the best offer either. It's just, I think if you're going to trade a guy like Gobert, you need to replace him, and you don't wait 2-3 weeks, 2-3 months into free agency when everybody's going to be gone. Fair. So, like, July 1st, you have to be ready to make that move.
Well, the Jazz weren't always playing Gobert. The Jazz can look good without Gobert. They don't necessarily. Well, whatever. If the Knicks trade for him, it would be involved giving up Mitchell Robinson. Gobert's better than Mitchell Robinson, but Mitchell Robinson is arguably your best. You're arguably your best young player. Him and Barrett. I don't know if that's the position you really want to go after.
We also don't trade 22 for 30.
Yeah,
I mean, how many 7-foot centers at the age of 30 who are due for a huge contract in a year have been worth that huge contract? Like,
yeah, I mean,
Kareem, and maybe that's it.
I mean, Gobert would definitely make the Knicks a lot better. The Knicks don't. He doesn't take him to the next level. He's definitely better than Mitchell Robinson, but I feel like you might want to just keep going with developing this team.
Well, yeah, you don't take a 30-year-old who, unless you're poised to make that next leap, and the Knicks are definitely not poised for that.
I would generally say where the Knicks are in their timeline is they're just like they haven't got to the point where adding free agents makes the difference. Like you're still trying to figure out whether this is a tanking roster or a competing roster.
I mean, you could add free agents. You just don't add free agents who might be close to a decline.
Right. Well, I guess you don't go all in for certain players.
Yeah.
You're going to have to go all in to get a guy like Gobert. It's not necessarily worth it unless he's going to take you to like really compete in the playoffs. I don't know if you switch Mitchell Robinson straight up with Gobert if they're a playoff team.
If they're a playoff team?
Yeah, just switch those two players. I don't know that they're a playoff team. Am I being crazy?
Oh, I thought you meant if you were in the playoffs. I'm like,
oh no. I meant are they guaranteed for the 8th seed? There's still so many holes in the roster that just getting Gobert, I don't know how much better. Like it makes them better, but like.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't put the Knicks in the playoffs if you swap those two. No.
So if you want to go at all, like if you get Donovan Mitchell, I think Donovan Mitchell would get them to the playoffs.
If not, it would be close.
Yeah. Either way, these trades are never happening. We just the only point of people going on about it was we have nothing else to talk about, so we might as well just pretend these trades are happening.
Yeah.
So moving on. Actually, along the same lines, there's a report that the Golden State Warriors were underwhelmed by the Knicks' offer for D'Angelo Russell. And I know obviously the Russell trade already happened for Wiggins,
Mm-hmm.
but the thing was that the package was built around Bobby Portis, Alonzo Trier, and Frank Ntilikina, and there might have been a draft pick or something like that. And Golden State just mentioned that they were underwhelmed by this trade. Not that I'm adding much to it. It's just like the Knicks always feel like they have these packages and they can get these players, and they just put a bunch of players together that the other teams are like, why are you even calling us with this trade proposal?
Yeah, that's not a good package.
Yeah, I mean, like, what was whether it be Gobert or D'Lo, like, there's not a great package the Knicks can put together unless you're giving your first round picks up.
Yeah, and I really don't think they should do that right now.
It does not make sense where they are. Like, you have to have your team's got to be heading in some direction.
I know some people are a lot higher on Frank than we are, but he's not taking you to the playoffs. You still need the guy. The Knicks don't have the guy.
I mean, Ntilikina, as much as a couple of coaches have had him. Every coach has seen him in practice. Whether they're right or wrong, like how many minutes they played him. None of our coaches have been impressed with him enough by seeing him in person more than any of us see him. Have been impressed enough with him to go like he's the guy.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, like the Knicks really. I'm already too depressed. Let's talk about the pandemic, Jay. That's less depressing.
We got a message from John.
Okay.
He said, "Hope you guys are doing well through all this. Even though there's nothing much going on in the Knicks world, maybe each episode we can do like a top 5 or a top 10." And he suggested top 5 all-time Knicks, top 10 Knicks memories, top 10 drafts fail successes, something like that. So I mean,
yeah, that sounds good.
I think we need to do more research for draft fail successes, but we could probably do all-time Knicks.
Yeah. What about top 5? Just make it a little more. Top 5 moves the Knicks should make from now going forward. Let's pick 5 things the Knicks should do right now, starting right today.
Okay.
Like the moves, just like what do you want to see the Knicks do, and when do you want to see them do? Like what moves do you want to see the Knicks make going forward? What realistic moves? I'll start.
Okay.
I want to see. I guess we don't know if there's a season. We can talk about whether there'll be a season in a moment. But the Knicks are done playing for the season. Can we agree on that?
Yeah.
If anything, there'll be some kind of limited playoffs at best that comes back. The season, and it also may all be over. The NBA season may just be completely over, and we have to wait till next season, right?
Yeah.
So first thing I'd like the Knicks to do, and I'd like to do this like tomorrow, is get a new GM.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Scott Perry. There is no reason the Knicks should. I don't understand why you're hiring Rose if you're going to keep Scott Perry. I guess in the sense of like Rose is not even going to bring in his own guys. Rose is going to get here and be like, "Oh, the guys that were here were already fine." Like Perry has been evaluating and helping build this team. If you didn't like this team enough to bring in Rose, then you don't like this team enough. Like you can't keep Perry. Also, I don't understand thinking Perry's. I don't know. What do you think? Like, do you think Perry and Mills are so separable that Mills was the disaster and Perry was doing a fine job?
No, I agree. Perry should probably go. I would get rid of also Leon Rose.
Well, you would get rid of the. I mean, why would you? So the team president, like I'm always a fan of. You start. The team president comes in here, or GM, whatever. They bring their own guys. They don't wait a season later to bring their own guys in.
Mm-hmm.
Build what you want right now. Whatever you want for a GM, whatever you want for a coach, do that right now. Why would you get rid of Leon Rose before he starts the job? Basically?
I just think it's a really, really bad idea having an agent. I know he's not an agent anymore and he's stepping down, but he's going to go after the CAA guys. And
there are a few other agents in the league who are doing a fine job running their teams. There is no reason to think that the guys who he was represented were just guys basically who would sign contracts with him. It doesn't mean he's going to favor these guys. Maybe he's good at evaluating. There's a lot more that goes into things. There's no reason to think he's just going to go all in on CAA guys, even though you know he will.
Yeah. 6 months from now, we're going to be talking about how the Knicks signed 5 guys and 4 of them are CAA guys.
So, CAA is a big agency. They have a lot of good players.
I know, but I just feel like there's such a conflict of interest there.
It's only going to be the bad players from CAA.
Yeah.
The bad contract. So, realistically, is there anything else? Forgetting the fact he's the agent, do you have any other issues with Leon Rose?
No, but that's like a huge issue.
What do you think of? They hired a capologist, if you would. The Brock Aller, whatever. He's going to be Leon Rose's chief strategist. He came out of Cleveland. A lot of people on Twitter immediately have opinions about Brock Aller, which is always weird because most of the people on Twitter had no idea he existed prior to the announcement.
Right.
But anyway, he was instrumental in helping the Cleveland build their team. What do you think of this move to bring in? Obviously, I know you don't know anything about Brock Aller, and I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. But what do you think of the move?
That's fine. I mean, the more information you have, the better, right?
There's Leon Rose is an agent. There's no reason to think he's going to have a mastery of the cap. You need some guy that actually has a mastery of the cap. So makes sense you bring in one. I know Cleveland's cap situation when LeBron left wasn't exactly ideal, but he helped build a title while LeBron was there, and a lot of things were forced because LeBron was there. Mm-hmm. So they said they actually one of the moves they gave him credit for was helping engineer the trade for Iman Shumpert and J.R. Smith. Two guys who really contributed, and the Cavs got him from was nothing.
Cool.
Yeah, so hopefully Brock Aller can help engineer trades from this dumb team, the New York Knicks.
Random question now.
Are we not going to do the top 5 anymore? We're done.
Okay, we do that. I would put a lot of money into scouting.
Yes. And trust your scouting. I don't know if those can be. I guess it's assumed it'd be obvious, but
nothing's ever obvious with the Knicks. Yes, hire a really good scout and listen to him. Yes.
I really hope Leon Rose is all in. Well, I think the thing is they say he's a big picture guy, which means get a goddamn GM.
Yeah.
Who's going to listen to the scouts and find your team? Mm-hmm. Why are they waiting on this? Like, if either announce Scott Perry as your guy and just do it right now, or find someone new very fast because the draft's not that far away.
Yeah, also now would be the perfect time. There's not much else going on. You'd think you'd have a lot of time to interview people and make these decisions. But knowing the Knicks, they will announce it on like the morning of the draft and give the guy like 4 hours to get ready for the draft.
Hey, Leon Rose, using Zoom is so easy. Just do Zoom interviews. Just send the guy the link. And he can't figure out how to do the link with you, do not hire him.
You could do Zoom, you could do Skype, you could do Facebook Messenger, you could do GChat.
There are so
Google
many
Hangouts.
options for interviewing people from your goddamn couch. Please, Leon Rose. What were you going to say before I interrupt you, Jay? What question did you have for me?
So, when the season ended, a couple teams played 63 games and a couple played 66. So, depending on where they end it, drastically affects the Knicks' draft seeding because they won 2 out of the last 3 games. So
because the Knicks played more games?
Yeah, if they played 66, if they ended there, the Knicks have 2 more wins and have the 7th worst record instead of the tied for 3rd.
I think they have the 6th worst record.
Okay, well, instead of tied for 3rd. I mean, that's a big difference.
That's a huge difference, but why aren't they going to end it where it just ended? Like, I don't understand why you think they're going to do anything besides ending it exactly where it ended.
Well, they might want to have every team have the same amount of games played.
Okay, so why do you have the teams that haven't played as many games all play each other and die of coronavirus? The Knicks have the 6th worst record. I'm looking at Tankathon. I think they're just going to leave it as is. They're not going to not count any games that were played. I understand what you're saying. It's unfair that certain teams played more games than other teams, but the whole situation sucks. They're not going to discount any. It's how do you choose game 63, game 64?
Well, I mean, every team played 63.
The least complicated thing to do is just not count it. Just count every game that was played and just go with it is what it is.
We shall see.
You think so? You think they're gonna like cut it off again? You
I think
they're
there's
really
a
gonna cut
case
it
to
off?
be made to cut it off where every team has played that game.
You're saying you think is there real talk about this, or is just like people just like, hey, here's something else we can ponder for no reason on Twitter?
Well, more of that, but I mean, it's going to have to happen eventually. Once they say, yeah, there's going to be no more season, they're going to have to figure out where the cutoff is.
Jay, do you know about the PPE or PP
Mm-hmm.
the loan protection program for small businesses?
Yeah.
Well, I just want to tell you, it's like a great thing to do. Like the government's doing. They passed this big, the stimulus the government passed, right?
Yeah.
So they passed this great program. It's called the Paycheck Protection Program,
Mm-hmm.
and the idea is small businesses with under 500 employees, or maybe it was 50, no, I guess under 500 employees, if they can take out these loans that are like 1% interest, and after a certain amount of time, if they haven't let go of their staff, they basically get to keep the money. So it's a great way to keep people employed, and I think it's just a wonderful thing the government's done.
I can't wait to see where this is going and how it's related to basketball.
No, I'm just saying. You don't think it's a great thing they did? They're really helping out small businesses. Do you want examples of small businesses that have been helped out and like saved because of this program?
Are we doing Brink of Sanity right now, or
No.
okay?
So $4.6 million went to this is basketball related. It went to the Los Angeles Lakers.
Oh my God.
The Lakers, a small business program worth probably $2 billion, applied for a small business loan from the government, part of the Paycheck Protection Program, and got $4.6 million. That was who Congress was protecting. The Lakers have since been shamed into giving back the money.
The fact that they applied is ballsy enough. The fact that they got approved is just ridiculous.
Isn't that almost just amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought it would be a nice the small business that hopefully the Lakers will survive because they have not been able to work since then.
Second most valuable sports franchise.
So I said the Knicks should hire a GM. I think my number 2 would be the Knicks should hire a coach or give Mike Miller the job. Just make those decisions, GM and then coach, obviously. But they should figure this out really soon. There's no reason to wait too long on this.
So far, our top 5 is common sense things that every other team in the league has done already.
Figure your shit out, basically, is the idea. Figure your shit out.
Mm-hmm.
What else? We asked for a top 5. I'm giving you a top 5.
No, I know. It's just insane that we're still at the point where it's like, how about have a coach and a GM? How about have a basketball structure to your basketball team?
Whatever. I mean, like a lot of teams start at square zero. Just everyone starts at the beginning. We're at the beginning every other season. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what else you got? What else can the Knicks do?
Do their annual purge of their 8 players so we know how many roster spots are open.
Yeah, I mean that sounds fine. I would say, decide. Once you get a coach, decide which players you're keeping and which players you're not keeping, which are probably a lot of players. I think you have to say, number 3, I know there's talk about Julius Randle. I don't think a trade's going to make any sense. I think we should have our coach next season, one of his goals is to figure out a way to use Julius Randle in a productive way. Once you get a coach, he figures out how this roster is going to work. He's going to figure out a way to make Randle a productive player. He's not going to, if Randle holds the ball too much, he gets benched, but find a way to use him in an effective way. He's too talented just to give up on, or he's too talented and untradeable to give up on, and you need to figure a way to make him a productive player. He can be a productive player in the right system. Figure out that system.
I like it. I agree. I'm looking at their salaries right now.
Yeah.
Second most highest paid player is Portis, and the third is Harkless.
Well, Portis and Harkless are basically not in the team anymore.
So that's $26.5 million.
Yeah,
right there.
they're expiring, so they're done. The Knicks, figure out on this list who you're going to keep, and there's no reason to keep Bobby Portis. There's no real logical reason to re-sign Mo Harkless either.
Right.
Though Harkless is younger than Portis, so maybe. Actually, I don't know. He's not even. They're both the same age, I think, or around the same age.
Yeah.
But I don't see the. So next, number 4 on my list, figure out what your plan for point guard. You have 2 things you can do for point guard. Here are the plans. either you draft the point guard or you max and get Fred Van Vliet.
Portis is actually 2 years younger than Harkless.
Okay. Which one would you keep, Harkless or Portis, if you had to make that Sophie's choice?
Harkless.
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. Even though I didn't, and Portis is fine. Just he can go elsewhere.
How many teammates has Harkless punched in the face?
That's true. I think Harkless in general will contribute more on a regular basis instead of Bobby Portis every once in a while being like, oh, maybe we should play this guy more. And then you play him a little more, and you're like, oh, maybe we should not play him more.
Mm-hmm.
I think the team needs to figure out a plan for point guard. I would 100% max out Fred Van Vliet and just see if Toronto or anyone matches or anyone else matches. What do you think of that plan?
So you're doing the... Do you want
So here, I think the different options you really have. Here are the different options: Fred Van Vliet, somehow Chris Paul, Gordon Dragic, or draft a guy. And obviously, these aren't mutually exclusive. Obviously, you can draft a guy either way. But you need to have a plan for point guard going forward. You cannot pretend Frank is the plan. Dennis Smith should not be on the team going forward. You cannot you have to have a real plan here.
Yeah, you could do a lot worse than Van Vliet.
Elfrid Payton could be your backup or not. But Van Vliet is a pretty solid player. You're going to overpay him. Would you have to overpay everyone?
Yeah.
But he's not a bad player to get.
Yeah, no, he's pretty
You could
good.
still draft the point guard, but and play 2 point guards. Who cares?
Well, not only you do that, and you also make Toronto worse at the same time. So that's not bad.
Yeah, if Toronto gets slightly worse, the Knicks are in the finals. I just think of who else you going to get? He's a younger. How old Van Vliet? Actually, he's not that. How young? How old is he? I think he's older than I think.
He is 26.
26. Okay. Somehow I thought he was 28.
He just turned 26, so that's perfect.
He's a youngish player coming into his own. Maybe the Toronto's not as excited to give him a max deal. He's played really well. You need someone on this team. And I'd rather go all in at point guard than any other position. At least point guards, in theory, make the rest of the team better.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's fine. I mean, you would have to get a defensive backcourt teammate, but that's fine.
Ntilikina, he's on the team already.
There you go.
I'm just saying, you would still draft a point guard. I think you have to pretty much go all in on drafting a point guard unless the situation whoever's remaining, there's another player who's just far outweighs the point guard. But you really just want a point guard.
Yeah, and guess what? If you end up with too many point guards, then you can make a trade.
I mean, it looks like the draft has 5 or 6 decent point guards. You don't know who's going to be the best out of these players. Outside of getting the number 1 pick, where this guy Anthony Edwards is supposed to be the guy you're supposed to take, you should take. There's a bunch of point guards, and even at number 1, Anthony Edwards wasn't that great this season. So I don't love the idea of LaMelo because his shooting percentage was just so horrific.
Mm-hmm.
Though it makes him look like he fits in the Knicks really well. But you gotta draft a point guard.
Yeah.
So would you try to trade for Chris Paul or try to bring in Goran Dragic?
No, I don't like that Chris Paul contract.
I guess you're only gonna do that if any reason Oklahoma's giving him away, and they're not giving him away. So.
Well, I mean, how can you give him away when he's making $40 million a year?
Well, they could just say, "We'll give some assets." Then we really just want to move the contract. They're gonna want assets from you because everyone knows the Knicks are morons, and also they're playing too well to not want to just keep Chris Paul. It doesn't even affect their team. I mean, they don't need the cap. Well, I guess for next season maybe they want the cap. I don't know. They were playing so well that you kind of want to just run it back with Chris Paul. If I was them.
Yeah, not to mention he makes 41 next year and 44 the year after.
I mean, I guess maybe they'd want to move him.
And he just turned 35. But yeah, if you're OKC, you were pissed about this season ending.
If you're the Knicks and he makes $40 million next year and $44 million the following year, were you going to use that $40 million in any other way more productive?
Knowing the Knicks, that's when an opportunity opens up, and then now they can't.
There are no opportunities for the Knicks. There really aren't. You have to just basically take a situation that's not ideal and make it better.
Well, what's the point?
Well, if you get Chris Paul, maybe you get another point guard to develop under him, and the team gets better by having a really good point guard. And maybe he instills a winning culture, so to speak. I think getting a guy like Chris Paul would make the team a lot better if he's healthy.
A lot better is like 30 wins.
No, I think they're like a legitimate with Chris Paul. They could be a legitimate playoff team. I don't know. What are we doing? I just don't even know what the hell we're doing.
You need
why
like
win
5
games?
players. You need like 5 good players.
Okay, what if we can only get half a player? I understand what you're saying. Like, you need to develop. Like, if let's say you signed Fred VanVleet, and a little bit of ridiculous contract, but then you had him, you had Barrett, you draft someone else this year, you got Mitchell Robinson, I guess Knox, you got Ntilikina, bring in a couple free agents. The team starts to look better over time. Is something there? I don't know. Barrett gets
Basically, they
better.
have to nail this year's pick and both of next year's picks.
Yeah, you got to start nailing picks. The Knicks don't nail picks. That's the issue.
Yeah.
You have to find a way to develop. Either you nail free agency, which is really hard to do as a bad team, or you nail picks. And the Knicks are not nailing picks. So far, Mitchell Robinson, pretty good pick. I guess nailed it for a second round pick. Barrett, I like a lot what I've seen from him, but he has a lot of work ahead of him. I would not say you nailed the pick as much as you got a guy who's pretty good, you're happy with. Knox, I mean, that's definitely not nailing the pick. Ntilikina is definitely not nailing the pick. You got to get better at get lucky, I guess, in the draft.
Yeah.
But
well, that's why my suggestion was putting all your money into scouts.
Well, yes, everyone spends a lot of money in the scouts. I mean,
well,
anyway,
if the Knicks are putting a lot of money into scouts, they're putting money into the wrong scouts because they're not getting the right players.
Okay, 1, get a GM. 2, get a coach. 3, figure out your point guard situation. 4, figure out a way to make Julius Randle productive. And 5,
scouts.
The scouts. That's your list, Jay. And number 5, find a way. Have a plan for the young players in the team. Just some plan that doesn't change every 5 minutes about how you want to play them and what you want to do. Like, either you play the young guys, don't play the young guys. Have some plan for the guys, how to develop them.
All right, that works.
Yeah, but I like the idea of getting scouts who will like scour the world for players.
Yeah.
Okay. Jay, you watch Last Dance?
I watched the first 3 episodes.
I am about 10 minutes into the 3rd episode. I have to say, like, when I heard about this, they were like, it's a 10-part documentary on the Bulls, and I was like, okay. I mean, like, I guess that could be it. I mean, it's a fun team. They're like, but it's 1 season. I was like, 1 season, 10 hours. Like, how could this? Even though it's an interesting team, I was like, this can't be that good. Like, it's just gonna feel really, really long. So far, I'm all in. The first 2 episodes were great. I started the 3rd episode. It was kind of too late to keep going with it last night, but I think this is great. I think the show's been great so far.
Yeah, it's been really good. Oddly enough, I didn't know that this was gonna happen. This show was gonna air until like 2 days before it aired, and I was actually reading 11 Rings by Phil Jackson. So the last 3 chapters have been about these Bulls teams. So it's kind of like I'm reading it along with the show. So there's some like fill in the gap moments that the show hasn't covered yet, which I thought was weird since it's 10 hours. But
what I mean, you can only cover so much. But like what? And they're going. I mean, the thing is, like, I thought I was like, just a documentary on just this season would be kind of weird, but they're going. Obviously, every episode so far, they cover players, their background. It's not just this season. It's like it's a lot bigger than just this season. Even though like it's all built around the season. Obviously, you're covering Jordan from his development. You covered. They talked about Pippen. I guess Robin was the 3rd episode.
Mm-hmm.
But it's anyway. So what did they left out that you find curious they left out so far? And obviously things could also. That stuff could be in later on.
Right. Yeah, it was mostly Pippen stuff where he signed something like a 7-year, $18 million contract. So he was making, around $2 million a year as the best player. Not the best player, like a top 10, top 5 player in the NBA.
Yeah. So what about it?
So he asked for a contract renegotiation. They said no. He felt kind of spited, and then they kept
Are you
trying.
just reading back what happened in the second episode? I don't
No,
understand.
no, no. So they kept trying to trade him, and he got pissed.
Yeah.
And so, but the part they left out is that they said that he missed the first 35 games of that last season.
Yeah.
He missed that because he purposely got surgery right before the season started because he didn't want to mess up his summer.
Were you just not awake while you were watching?
Oh, is that? I'm getting the book and the show mixed up?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't read the book, so I don't know. But that was in the show.
Oh,
I
that
mean,
was in the show. Okay, never mind.
You know what's funny? I mean, not to age myself, but like, that was like my freshman year of college,
Mhm.
and it was like I followed basketball. I follow it, but like that, like when I went to college, I kind of like did not follow sports as closely for that, like that, especially that first my freshman year of college.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I didn't remember that Bulls team, so like I knew they went to the playoffs, they won, and I caught it every once in a while, but I really did not follow the NBA season that closely because I was just like going to college and doing college stuff, and like I forgot that Pippen got injured. I forgot all the stuff, all the drama that surrounded that team.
Yeah, no, same here. I watched every single playoff game, but the regular season I was doing college stuff. So
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things you just kind of your time this moment in time you just like I might have missed a lot of like I the Pippen being out and the Bulls. I mean they like when they were talking about the Bulls like having a horrific start. They were like I think they were like 11-8 or 12-6 something like that. It wasn't like a terrible start. It just wasn't like a Bulls-esque start.
yeah.
But it was interesting. I don't know. That was the fact that he because he said so. You really were not awake during this documentary because Pippen said he's like I figured I could either spend the whole summer rehabbing or I'll just start rehabbing during the season because and basically he's like because they're not paying me enough anyway. Like he basically just said because of the contract he was just pissed off with the team.
Okay. I'm since I'm reading it at the same time, I'm getting the book and the show mixed up.
No, Jordan even commented on it.
Okay.
Jordan said like he didn't do the right thing for the team. He's like I understand what he did it, but like it was not the right thing for the team.
Mm.
He clearly was upset by it, but like it's absurd though. Like the first of all, they're I don't know how they don't like renegotiate that contract and make him happy. I don't know how they break up that goddamn team. Everything about this is like I remember at the time that was their last season. We all knew it was the last season, but it was kind of baffling then. Even in retrospect, it's even more insane in retrospect. They could have won the title the following year.
Well, I guess, yeah.
It was just about egos. There was no reason Krause had to like break up that team and rebuild. It's the most absurd thing to rebuild while you're winning the title year after year.
The craziest thing to me was telling the team and Phil that this is your last season, even if you win all 82 games. That's bizarre to me.
It was so bizarre. It's just he wanted Phil out. Like he wasn't even going to bring back Phil for that season.
Yeah, which I don't understand.
I don't understand. Like you're making so much money. I remember at the time, like people had something about like the owner being cheap, Reinsdorf, but it sounded more like a Krause thing. Like he trusted Krause, and Krause, at least in the documentary, his ego really got in the way. Like, he did a great job building that team, no question. And so you have to give him a ton of. Obviously, he drafted like I guess Jordan came right before he got there. I guess Krause.
Yeah.
He lucked in. Either way, you luck into like a guy that's that good. But he built the rest of obviously he traded for Pippen. He brought in Robin. He brought all these good players. He built a great team. And the Oakley trade, which apparently like Jordan hated at the time, Jordan later on was like that was the right trade. He got that one right.
Yeah.
But
that was one of the rare trades where it worked out for both teams.
Yeah, it really did. But how do you break up that team when you're winning the title?
I guess we'll find out.
Yes. I mean, we know generally it happened and they broke them up.
Well, we know what happened, but maybe they'll get more into the logic why.
Maybe I don't know. I kind of think they already did. Like I think there was just like because I think someone else said like he had the Napoleon type complex and he just like let his ego get in his way basically.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll get into a little bit more of that. Anyway,
yeah.
NY Knicks podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Patreon, and nyknickspodcast@gmail.com is our email. We have some Facebook questions.
Yes. We'll leave Last Dance in a second. But anything else you thought was like interesting out of it?
I thought the really oversized suit jackets on everybody was a little weird. I didn't know
I
that.
think
I didn't realize that was a thing at the time.
that's funny. You know what? So one of the things I think one of the things is like you're watching Jordan, how good Jordan was, and Jordan was amazing. But I'm watching that being like, why doesn't he shoot a three? It's just so funny watching everyone. No one cared about the 3-point line that much.
No,
And I know
it's
Kerr shot threes, but like it's not like he shot like a crazy amount of threes. It's amazing how for so long the NBA did not like focus on the three, and now it's like obviously gone in the direction of the absurdness with the three.
so Steve Kerr was the 3-point guy on the Bulls, right?
Yeah.
2.6 attempts a game.
Is it that low? I was going to look it up, and I didn't look it up. I would have assumed at least 4 a game. Wow.
He never in his career averaged 4 a game. 2.9 was his high ever.
And he was so well known. That was his thing. He was the 3-point shooter on the team.
That's how rare threes were back then.
Yeah. Like, you shoot under 3 a game, you're barely like you.
You have
for
centers
number-
that shoot 3 a game.
Yeah, there's so many players that shoot 3 a game. It's not even like a thing anymore. Like,
Joel Embiid shoots like 6.
yeah, it's unbelievable. And like, in some ways, like just watching that, you're like, I mean, I guess you can argue which style is better. The other funny thing is just like, I was watching a little bit of the Rodman episode and just watching the Pistons and how they just beat the crap out of everyone.
Mhm.
And I think them beating the crap out of everyone is not good for the league. But it was just funny to see.
Well, you've
funny to
seen
watch
the 30
what they
for
were allowed to
30,
do.
right?
Yeah, I saw the 30 for 30. on Bad Boys, so.
That's so awesome. John
was-
Paxson, known for his threes.
Yeah.
Guess his career high for threes a game.
Like 3?
1.7.
You got to be kidding me.
That was the most he ever took in a season.
Oh my God. That's how many did Jordan? You pull up Jordan? How many did he shoot? Like, what's his most he ever shot in a season?
Jordan's most threes attempted in a game was 3.6.
Which season was that?
That was the 96-97 season.
Okay.
And he went all the way down to 1.5 on the Last Dance season.
I mean, you have to think also Jordan. Obviously, if he played today, he would because he was a great shooter. I mean, he's not Steph Curry, but you would have think like he would have become a pretty darn good 3-point shooter if he played today. Which is also why like the whole comparison thing is always tough between the eras.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, we went through this for other players. Like, Larry Bird. Do you remember what his high was?
we did go through this, and I think it was really low, like 3 also.
Yeah, 3.3.
Yeah, that's really shocking also because he really was known for the 3-point shot, and that was like one of his, like, he was one of the great 3-point shooters of his era. Yeah, also just the Pippen thing. I understood why Pippen signed that contract because he was just like, I had to take care of my family. But it's amazing in today's era, any guy would have tried to renegotiate that, and Pippen he kind of tried, but like he did not show up. Players would just not show up basically today.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can go to the questions. But I found that I am all in on this documentary. It's pretty fun to watch so far.
Yeah.
Do you what season would you like to see them do of the Knicks?
Either 94 or 99.
Yeah, nothing else would make that much sense. I would say 94. 94.
Probably
think?
94.
Yeah,
But, I mean-
it was a better team overall.
But you might have had a little bit more drama at 99 because you had Sprewell and, Ewing getting injured and Larry Johnson on his last legs.
Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting season.
If you had, could you imagine it was like we had to choose from a more recent season? We're like, okay, the 54-win season. Wow, this is going to be crazy. I wonder if Roy Herbert's going to block Melo. Oh, yes, he does. Okay, the game. This is like we picked the most. Like it's just like a sad season I've picked like in the last 20 years.
I know. That would be like one of the Cliff Note seasons in The Last Dance.
Yeah, the Spurs would be like, that was our worst season in the last 20 years, but it's cool you won 54 games.
Yeah.
Okay, go to questions. You at Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay. James writes, swing for the fences in trades or build around RJ and Mitch. If we miss out on the top 5 draft places, then should we still target a point guard or go for best player available? And then Kenny Atkinson? ? So let's start in the beginning. Swing for the fences in trades or build around RJ and Mitch.
Build.
Yeah, I also just don't think like I don't see many scenarios where they're going to really do that well in swinging for the fences. I don't think they have a lot of assets, and if you trade all your assets, then you have nothing.
Correct.
But if we miss out on the top 5 draft places, then should we still target a point guard or go for the best player available?
Always best player available.
Disagree completely. Point
Really?
guard. 100% disagree. There's enough point guards in this draft. I don't want them taking another position. Definitely not a center. They need a point guard so badly. Go position here. I understand the whole best player available bullshit, but and it makes sense to a certain extent. The Knicks need a point guard, Jay, more than anything. It's just absurd not to take a point guard.
I don't know. I feel like they're a couple years away from being good, and you take the best player available, and then if it's not a point guard, then you get a point guard next year. They're going to be in the draft for a while.
I don't know. I just think you need to, if you're ever going to get that, like, at some point you got to move your team forward. You need a goddamn point guard.
I mean, that being said, the top 5 out of the 7 picks this year are supposed to be point guards. So
yeah, there's supposed to be a number of point guards. Like, if 5 decent point guards in the draft, take one of them. Don't take some other position because you're like, oh, well, maybe him. You don't really know anyway, so just take a point guard and try to develop that guy. Okay, I feel strongly about this, by the way, Jay. Kenny Atkinson.
What about him?
What do you think he's doing during the pandemic? Do you think he's like social distancing, or is he kind of a jerk and going up to people? Is he wearing a mask, Jay? What do you mean? Coach, do you want to be the coach?
I don't really know much about him.
He did a pretty good job with the Nets. He developed a bunch of players like Spencer Dinwiddie.
Right. Okay.
Who are you thinking of?
I don't know who I was thinking of. I totally spaced on Atkinson.
Okay. I was wondering why you were just like, yeah, what about the Nets former coach? I don't understand why we're even bringing him up.
I paid so little attention to the Nets. I didn't even realize he was their coach the last 5 years.
We had an episode talking about this before the season ended.
That feels like 4 years ago. This quarantine is really messing with my head.
It's really a long time. Anyway, so would you look to hire Kenny Atkinson?
Yeah, I mean, I think he took a random bunch of guys and made it into a perennial playoff team. I think he did a really good job.
By perennial, you mean like 1 year in the playoffs? Did they make it twice or just once?
No, I'm pretty sure they made it a couple years in a row.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Didn't they lose? Didn't they make it with D'Angelo Russell and then lose him and then make the playoffs again?
They made it with D'Angelo Russell, and then they lost him, which is this season.
And they were on their way.
They
were definitely in the playoffs.
Yeah. So you can count 2 seasons in a row. I don't know if they made it the year before that.
They did not.
Okay, like you're perennial. You're like, it's been so many seasons. By the way, I can't even think straight.
Okay, yeah. I mean, well, his first season he had 20 wins, second 28, third 42, and then the fourth he was on pace for around 42 again after losing an All-Star. So
yeah, and he was like, I'm gonna do this without Kyrie or Durant. You guys just sit out the season because I can win without you.
Yeah, and they were still hovering around 500, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, no way. I think he seems like a good coach. Do you think the Knicks should keep Miller?
I don't think Miller's bad, but it's so hard to tell with such a bad roster.
Yeah. He did a lot better. Clearly, you have some comparison. You see Fizdale, and the schedule was kind of tougher under Fizdale, to be fair.
Yeah.
But Fizdale versus Miller clearly did a lot more with the roster than Fizdale did.
I say it depends on what the other options are. You don't get rid of him just to get rid of him.
But I go all in on Kenny Atkinson. I don't know why you can't get your GM tomorrow and the next day hire Kenny Atkinson. Nothing else is going on. Make this shit happen.
Yeah.
Devin writes, which NBA assistant coach or G League coach should be given a chance to represent the head coach? Should be given a chance to represent the head coaching position? Which players should Frank, RJ, and let's ask. I think she has a couple questions. So first, which NBA assistant coach or G League coach would you hire for a head coaching position?
I don't really know the G League coaches, to be honest.
What about Becky Ham, assistant coach in San Antonio?
Yeah.
I know I've argued against her in the past, but at this point, I only argued against her because I thought like New York's such a circus that like hiring a woman in the situation would just be like more of a circus. Not getting against her, just like everything works out so poorly anyway that like I just could see this being a disaster. But I'm fine. Like hire Becky Hammond. She's supposed to be a great basketball mind. Knicks need to do something. Need to swing the thing with the fences on these kind of things.
And honestly, any coach that wins the G League championship should at least be looked at.
Which players should Frank, RJ, and Robinson need to study while in isolation to better improve themselves? Okay, Frank, who do you have them study?
Gary Payton.
Yeah, Chauncey Billups.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, RJ.
RJ. Sean Marion.
Oh. Okay.
Dennis Rodman.
Just throwing out guys now.
No, I'm just like.
How is Rodman like a comparison? Rodman didn't play offense.
Yeah, you need defense.
Yeah, I mean, but you want to be kind of a complete player. He's the Maple Mamba. Study the Black Mamba. I don't know. I mean, like, what? You know what? Go after. You want him to study Black Mamba, Kobe Bryant's work ethic. If he could mimic that kind of work ethic, that would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And Robinson.
Hakeem.
Yeah, sure. Why not? One of the all-time greats. Sounds good.
Or how about Mutombo? Because Mutombo played great defense and never got in foul trouble.
Yeah, Mutombo would be a little more of a yeah. I mean, obviously, any of these players would be really good. Just like I'm trying to think of a guy that's better shooting to his skill set. Mutombo would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
With the NBA becoming huge, also Mutombo maybe he didn't get into foul trouble because it was a different league. Not he played in a time where there weren't touch fouls. Robinson gets screwed by touch fouls all the time.
True, but I remember Mutombo guarding Shaq and still doing a decent job.
Nah, he was great. He was a great defensive player. With the NBA becoming hugely wing dominant, do you think the Knicks need to focus on drafting a better wing player instead of a best player available?
Well, they definitely need. I know they need a point guard. After that, they need shooting.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. But like, I guess you kind of want to focus on 1, 2, or 3. You don't want to focus on a power forward or a center with
Right.
the way the league is going.
Yeah, they need shooting so bad.
So bad. Do you bring back who are the 2 shooters they have on the team?
Bullock and Ellington?
Yeah, Bullock and Ellington. I mean, the contracts aren't wonderful, but you bring them back just because you need shooting?
I'd bring back Bullock. Ellington seems like maybe he's done. I don't know.
Yeah, Bullock. I liked enough of what I saw from Bullock. He needs shooting on this team so badly.
Yeah.
Hey, what are the chances? What do you think is going to happen with the season? They're opening up. They said as of May 1st, they're opening up. They're allowing players to practice in facilities in states that are opening up. The NBA is saying you can go practice in those facilities, and I guess teams that are not in those states will be able to go to facilities in the states that are open.
I think they're going to try and figure out a way to. There's just too much money in canceling the season. They're going to try and figure something out.
I don't know what they do. Like the thing is, like I don't think you can play 3 months of playoffs. Like that just seems absurd to me.
It's also going to be tough. They're going to have like empty stadium games, and
of course, yeah.
I don't know. The whole thing was kind of weird.
Do you make every round best of 3? And also, players are going to all be out of shape. So,
Well,
what do you do about that?
That's their fault. They're millionaires. They should at least have a treadmill in there.
Well, I mean, they're going to be out of game shape. I mean, I'm sure they're all like running or whatever, but it's different than actually playing 5-on-5 and like.
Yeah, there's going to be some ugly games.
Yeah, I imagine most of the players, like a lot of them, they spend the offseason trying to stay in shape, but then they get to like this is just a whole other level. They have to be in shape for like playing in the games.
You'll see a couple come in really out of shape.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true too. I would guess that maybe you skip also, like you may put the best top 4 teams. I don't know. Like you have to, if you really want to do something, you have to do something like it has to be condensed. It can't be like what the normal playoffs are.
Yeah.
Josh writes, speculate on who would have won the title if they got back on. Is it unfortunate that this was probably LeBron's last great chance? Like, this is probably his best chance to win the title, and he doesn't get to this season probably.
Could be Milwaukee's best chance too, though.
But not really, because they're gonna still have the same roster next season, right? Most of the players come back versus like Lakers.
They are, but like you might have a much better Nets team, better Celtics team. Like they had a pretty good chance of breezing through the Eastern Conference playoffs this year.
I mean, that's true.
Whereas next year might be much harder.
I was just thinking that like it's LeBron is just getting older. Like he's gonna at some point he's gonna fall off, and I feel like maybe next season's the year he starts to like lose a step. Versus Giannis, he's still pretty young. You don't expect him to lose a step for a while. Okay, so who would have won the title? What do you think it would have been the Lakers, Milwaukee in the finals?
I think it would have been Clippers, Milwaukee.
I think it would have been Lakers, Milwaukee. And who takes it?
I think Milwaukee.
I agree. I think it was Milwaukee's year.
Yeah.
I think that would have been either one would have been a hell of a series.
Yeah, I'm just thinking a couple of their. Milwaukee's not young.
I mean, Giannis is how old is Giannis? 26, 27?
25.
25. Middleton is what? 28, 29?
28.
Okay.
But look at a lot of their other players. Bledsoe's 30. George Hill's 33. Ilyasova's 32. Korver's 39. Both Lopez brothers are 32. Wes Matthews is 33.
So for a team that's competing, like I mean, the forgetting Korver, everyone else is like a reasonable age. They still like may not be in their prime at 32, but like they still have a lot in the tank, especially if you're not carrying a team.
Possibly. I mean, at that age, yeah, they could be good for another couple of years, or they can be done next year. You never know with basketball at that age.
No, that's true. I feel like the Lakers, you have LeBron, obviously, like at some point he's going to have to fall off a little bit. You never know about Unibrow, his health, but let's just say he stays healthy. You still are counting on guys like Dwight Howard. You're counting on who else on that roster? Is Rondo on that roster still? Rondo was on the roster, right?
Yeah, he's 34. Dwight Howard's 34.
You got a lot of veterans on that team.
Yeah, Jared Dudley's 34.
Yeah, I don't know that whole roster. Like they were making it work, but you wonder like how much longer. But even I guess the Clippers, you wonder like, do you think do you think coronavirus is all about Kawhi Leonard just wanting a little more time to rest? Yeah. So I guess that's Bill writes. Oh, sorry, Tristan writes. Have you been watching The Last Dance? Do you turn away during the Pippen dunk on Patrick Ewing?
That was brutal. I mean, that was like the opening clip on The Last Dance.
Hey, so I have a question for you. If you redid that, because I was thinking about like if you redid the Jordan draft, obviously you take Jordan over Akeem Olajuwon. Obviously that's a given. And it's interesting just how like
I don't know if obviously that's a given.
In retrospect, you don't take Michael Jordan over Akeem Olajuwon. And Akeem Olajuwon is one of the all-time greats. But, like, you don't take the best player in the history of the NBA over Akeem Olajuwon?
I don't know. They already had Drexler.
You're thinking of no, I'm talking about Houston. You're thinking of Portland.
Oh, Portland with Bowie, right.
No. Houston drafts Akeem with the first pick. They could have drafted Jordan. No one ever gives them crap for drafting Akeem over Jordan because, like, it was a very reasonable pick at the time.
I mean, it's still. I mean, Hakeem's like top 10 player ever. Like, it's not.
I'm just saying if you reordered the draft.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Portland, the scenario was really like, well, we have Drexler, and also just the idea, like now you're like, we have a really great player. We can't add another really great player because they're too similar. I mean, like that would have been an amazing team if you had Jordan and Drexler together.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting. So the Pippen draft, he was the the fifth pick in that draft?
Yeah.
Who was the first pick? I was looking at, I was trying to decide who would go. Was it 1986, 87 draft?
1987.
Let me look. So I was looking at the draft and I was kind of wondering if you would take
Well, number
Pippen.
one's David
Oh,
Robinson. So
David, that's my question to you. If we reorder that draft, do you take Pippen over Robinson, knowing now? Like, you're the Spurs. Obviously, you won a title with David Robinson eventually, and he was great. Would you take Pippen over? No one else is arguable in this draft. It's just him or Robinson. But would you take Pippen over Robinson?
I do, but it's so close. It's like coin toss almost.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you were at the age. It was also the era of centers. You got like a perennial center, and you won a title with him. Obviously, would you have won a title if Pippen was your best player? And Pippen was amazing.
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know. You might
I
have.
think that's the harder. I think that's the harder one to decide who would have been better. I think overall Pippen's a better player than Robinson, but it's pretty close, especially in that era. You might want Robinson.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of longevity.
What do you mean? They both played pretty long. I think Robinson was in the league maybe longer than Pippen.
Yeah, but Robinson had 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 peak seasons. Then he was out for almost that whole season before they drafted Duncan.
Yeah, he was the team MVP because he got them Duncan.
And then after that, he was like good, but not.
Yeah, and he also got a title because of Duncan.
And
But they did they win before Duncan got there?
no,
No, they won because Duncan was there, right?
Yeah,
They won 2 years in a row, I think.
yeah,
Am I losing my mind?
no, they never won 2 years in a row.
What did they? Was which year? Okay, so but they did not win the title before Duncan got there. Is my memory.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. So Bill writes, who should we dump and keep amongst Knox, DSJ, Peyton, Frank, Harmless, Dotson, Bullock, especially since guys like Iggy were playing so well in the G League? Who's Harmless?
Harkless.
Okay. Okay. Knox, keep or go?
He can go.
He's signed already.
I mean, I'm just saying if like a trade presented itself, like
The trade's never going to present itself. I
I
mean,
know.
just forgetting like we're not going to get much for him. So like you keep him to see what happens next year with him. He's already signed. I give greater weight if the guy's already signed.
I don't care.
You don't care at all.
No.
Okay, so you don't put any weight to the guys already coming back on a decent contract next year.
Nope.
No.
He showed me absolutely nothing that I got excited about.
I mean, I agree completely. He showed me absolutely nothing. It's just like if the guy's coming back, he's still young. Maybe a new coach, a new system can develop him.
If all these guys are on another team, you just laugh.
Yeah.
Like every single one.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
We're only excited about half of these guys because they're on the Knicks.
I mean that's completely fair.
I mean, if Knox was on the Pistons right now, you're just like, what a shitty team.
You know, I was just thinking. So I'm just in the background. I'm just thinking. I was trying to remember. Like, yeah, Duncan wasn't the team that beat the Knicks. Some reason I was like, was Duncan on that team?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're right. He didn't. They won. The Lakers won the next 3. Then Duncan won. Then they won 2003. And obviously Robinson was on the team anymore.
That Grant pick was really nice.
What'd you say?
Horace Grant was a really nice pick, by the way.
Why? What pick? What number was he?
10.
Oh, in the '87 draft.
Yeah, although Reggie Miller went right after him.
Yeah, Muggsy Bogues. I love Muggsy Bogues.
All right.
Okay. Armin Gilliam wasn't the best pick in the world.
No, that was.
It's funny. It's funny when you go through. I was going through a bunch of drafts. Like some drafts, you're like the players just like it's an amazing draft. Then the next draft, you're like, number 1 pick, Michael Olowokandi. Number 1 pick, Kwame Brown. You're like, how the hell did that even happen to some of these players?
I mean, if you think that's bad, Dennis Hopson was picked 3rd.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Okay, so Knox, I keep, even though I don't think much will come of him, but I'd give him 1 more year. You're gonna get rid of him. DSJ,
Gone.
Peyton,
Backup.
He's a reasonable backup. Then again, if he's the backup, then that limits Ntilikina's minutes.
Oh God! Oh my God!
Uh,
Holy shit! No, first of all, Frank should be a shooting guard, not a point guard.
it's just hard to pick a position since he can't shoot either.
I know.
Uh,
Make him a 3.
yeah, I don't know. I think Frank is a weapon that doesn't fit quite in any position, but he can play. Um, but yeah, I'm open to bringing back Peyton as a backup, not as your starting point guard.
Yes.
Not okay, Frank.
I have to say yes, or there's going to be pitchforks in front of my apartment.
Social distance pitchforks.
Yeah.
By the way, how is the? Do you think it'll be tough for the NBA to play where everyone's wearing masks? Okay, Harkless.
No.
Yeah. I guess I'm open. I don't know. I don't see. I like a guy like Harkless. I'm like, he's fine as long as he doesn't come back as a starter.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hate-
If he played 15 minutes a game, I'd be fine with it.
Even 20 minutes, as long as he's a bench guy. I hate when they bring in guys from other teams who have never started anywhere else, and the guy cannot leave the starting lineup because it's like it's like set in stone. It was passed down to Moses on Mount Sinai that these guys have to be a starter here.
Yeah. Career average 12 minutes per game, goes to the Knicks, starts.
Yeah, like Alfred Payton has to be a starter. Well, the Cantor. Oh my God! He has to start. Well, he's never been a starter anywhere else he's been. Well, he has to start here.
Yeah.
Dotson.
He's fine. Yeah.
The answer's no. I mean, I'm fine. If you get him back on a very low 1-year deal, fine. But the Knicks have had him for a while. They obviously have not been that impressed by him. He looks good at times. Maybe he's like a Wayne Ellington light.
Yeah.
I just think I've not seen enough that like I care if he's on the team next year. I don't think he's going anywhere else and being like, we're going to be upset he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Bullock?
Yeah, because you need at least one guy who can shoot.
Yeah. And Iggy should be on the roster next year.
Sure.
Give him a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Josh writes, Are you hanging for competitive or hurting for competitive sports so much that you'll watch National Rugby League from Australia when it returns May 28th? Let me get in early. You should support the Parramatta Eels. One Golden Age winning title in 81, 82, 83, and 86. A few sweet runs, including the grand final appearance in 01 and 09, but no success for a long time. And Andrew writes, Go Tigers! And Josh writes, How's #OurJungle working out for you? For clarification, for those who don't know what we're talking about, it's like the Knicks rebuilt MSG and the Nets came to play their home games versus Knicks there. So I actually played club rugby for 2 years in college. So I actually am a fan of rugby.
I did not know that.
Yeah, each episode you'll learn a different tidbit about Mark.
700th episode together between our two shows, and I'm just finding that
out. Anyway, so I played 2 years of rugby, so I am totally up for watching rugby. I am impressed that Australia, though, is open. I don't know what's open and what's closed anymore. I guess Australia is going to be open to play sports. That should be interesting, and I hope it goes really well because I hope everything else can open up here soon too. Have you ever watched rugby before, Jay?
No more than like a quarter or a period, whatever they call it.
Do you have any idea what's going on when you're watching?
Not really.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to.
It seems to me like it's football, but when the ball is downed, it's not really downed. You could just pick it up and keep going again.
It's football if the only football was only a run game. There's no. I mean, I guess there's passing, but it's only passing backwards, so it's kind of like just running forward. I studied abroad in Australia also, and I went to see an Australian Aussie rules football game. And not knowing the rules or what's going on made it just such a boring experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's a sport where I've watched. You just like, why is he kicking the ball now? Why is he dribbling? What the hell's going on here? Why are we still here?
Mm-hmm.
But I bet it would be a fun sport if you actually had any clue what was going on. I went with a bunch of friends and we had no idea what was going on in the game. It was a hard one to figure out.
I have not been watching that, but I have been. Somebody's been uploading all the original UFCs from 1 on, and I've been watching those. I'm up to UFC 15.
Oh, okay.
It's great.
What's been the best one to watch so far?
I mean, just for history reasons, 1 was fun, but I would say I think like maybe like a 14, because you see some guys who became like perennial champions like their first time in the UFC, like Tito Ortiz and Randy Couture. They're like
Okay.
undercards, and you're like, the announcers have no idea who they are, and then they come out and they win in like 5 seconds, and they're like, oh shit, maybe this guy's gonna be something.
So to make this basketball related, tell me which Ultimate Fight you'd like to see. Pick 2 NBA players that you would love to see in the Ultimate Fighting arena.
Ooh.
And I think this is pretty easy, but I got a great answer for you.
I would like to see maybe Robin Lopez, and I'd like to see him beat the shit out of Cantor.
Okay, I got better for you.
Mhm.
Rudy Gobert versus Donovan Mitchell. Loser has to join the Knicks.
That would be good. The first 10 UFCs, they had no weight classes, so that was also fun.
It was fun. I remember the episode. I remember watching it when I was much younger, and the when they had like the sumo like size guy against a guy that was like so much smaller.
Yeah, it was like 690 pounds versus like 185 pounds.
Yeah, I believe the 185-pound guy won the fight.
He
also.
did. That's what made it even better.
Okay, we've gone really long, and I don't know how long we've gone, but we've definitely gone long in this episode, but we haven't done it in a while. But we should probably wrap this up. What did we learn today, Jay?
We learned that there's still no basketball, and everyone should listen to The Brink of Sanity because we're doing regular shows over there, and we're having a good time.
Yeah, we are having fun. And the Knicks, yeah. I mean, how do you think if the Knicks finish the season? Whatever. I was gonna say what would have happened, but they would have probably gone along around the same way.
They would have had a few wins. They probably would have finished with like the 6th or 7th worst record, and great.
Yeah, and Knicks fans would have complained about Ntilikina's playing time, but unfortunately the season was canceled, and Knicks fans are complaining about Ntilikina's playing time.
Ntilikina plays 47 minutes a game. They're like, yeah, but what about that minute where he sat?
Yeah, that's why they lost the game. You're not looking at the plus minus. You don't know the advanced stats.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
My love. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye.